One of the hardest things to do often is to make decisions from or out of our sense of purpose. Now, you may sit there and say, well, I don't know what my purpose is. And that may be true for you, and that's fair, because quite often our sense of purpose is not always something that we can always nail down in one quick statement. Sometimes it's an unfolding. And nonetheless, let me give you something that I've been working quite intentionally with recently. And it's simple, but it's not easy. And that is, you see, money is so associated. We associate so strongly money with our survival. And the reason for that is quite plain and simple, because money means if we have money, we can buy a house or pay for our house, we can send our kids to school, and we can feed ourselves and clothe ourselves and do nice things and whatever. And at its basic level, money provides for our needs, survival needs. So when the perception is that we don't have enough money, what goes with this thought is survival. So it's a bit windy here. And when we feel like our survival is threatened, then we start acting out of that low energy frequency. Everything is energy. Thoughts are energy, emotions are energy, our body is energy. Everything around us here is energy. Energy is very subtle. If you just think of a frequency, if you are tuned into your favorite radio station and you just tune like just a tiny bit to the one side or up or down, you get static. And that's how subtle it is. It's when we are operating out of a low energy frequency, a contracted energy of fear, of survival, then we get static on the abundance channel. So the simple question that you can ask yourself is, if money was not an issue for you in any particular situation, okay, what decision would you make? What action would you take? And what you'll find is that very often the answer to this question is in stark contrast to what you might be doing instinctually from a survival point of view. When the perception is, I don't have enough money, and very often that's a story. Now, I'm not saying there aren't people who are in great poverty. Yes, there are. But here again, it's what energy are we acting out of? And you see, when you're acting out of low energy frequency, then you are tuning into the station that broadcasts on that low energy frequency. You cannot experience abundance. You cannot experience freedom. You cannot experience joy and all of these higher states when you're operating out of low energy frequency. And when it appears like you don't have enough money, it hits our survival, because we've associated that money meets our survival needs. And then the mind gets involved and starts telling us all these fear-based stories of all the dreadful things that are going to happen. You're going to have to take your kids out of school, send them to, homeschool them or whatever. You're not going to be able to pay for your house, your car. It's going to get, the mind gets so wonderfully involved in all these great stories to perpetuate the fear. And then what it does, if we get hooked into that fear story, is we stay operating out of that low energy frequency, and we start to act and make our decisions from that place. So the question is, if money wasn't a problem for you in a given situation, if it wasn't an issue, what decision or choice or action would you take? And then it's the courage, it's having the courage and the faith to actually do that, to follow through on that. You see, prostitution we associate to the sexual realm, but actually we all fall into this trap from time to time, and we've got to watch out for it. We all have that prostitute archetype, and the archetype of the prostitute is when we sell ourselves up, when we do things that we wouldn't normally do in order to survive. And that might be offering your products and services at far less than you normally would. That might be doing things that go against your values. It could be a number of different things. So notice when you're faced with these kind of decisions and ask yourself, if money wasn't an issue right now, what decision, choice, or action would I take? Because if you have the courage to do that, you now start to operate out of a higher energy frequency. And the more you operate out of that higher energy frequency, the actual act of following through on a decision out of that state is demonstration that you're operating out of a higher energy frequency. Okay, if you have the courage to go, this is what I want to do to meet my survival needs, but I'm actually gonna push that aside, and I'm going to make a decision and take action from a place of what I would do if money wasn't an issue. That very thing demonstrates that you're operating out of a higher energy frequency. And when you start to do that consistently, what will happen is you start to tune in to the station that broadcasts the higher states, whether it's joy, love, freedom, abundance, whatever it is. But it's hard to do that, isn't it? And we've got so many stories that we can tell ourselves to justify why we're not doing that. Yeah, but I've got people I'm responsible for, and I've got kids, and yes. But if you're responsible for other people, then surely the responsible thing is to operate out of a higher energy frequency. But we get blinded by our senses because we look around us and everything that we see, touch, taste, feel, smell, is physical. And the mind can't always comprehend that actually it's just energy. So everything that we see, that is everything that we experience through our senses, physical things, it's actually the disturbance patterns that are caused when our consciousness interacts with energy, the energy of matter. And our consciousness interacts with the energy of matter and collapses those energetic waves, those sine waves, into what appears to our senses as physical, tangible matter. But what the mind can't comprehend is so easily, because we are blinded by the senses, is that behind that is all energy. So we literally are co-creating our lives. We have the energy of matter, and we have our consciousness, and as our consciousness interacts with matter, but it's what level of consciousness are we operating out of? Because we cannot manifest something that has a high energetic frequency if we're operating out of a low energetic frequency consciousness. So the simple thing I want to leave you with is, next time you are faced with a situation like this, ask yourself, if money wasn't an issue, or if my survival wasn't an issue, if I was 100% convinced that I was supported by God or the universe or life, then what decision would I take? What action would I take? And then have the courage to take that.